Well, my next guest says the ceasefire is very close to a total collapse. Daniel Levy is president of the US Middle East Project, a well-known face on the show. Daniel, great to have you back. I mean, it's very clear at this point, from what we've been hearing the last few days, that this ceasefire is very much on life support at this stage, which perhaps may not surprise those viewers who heard our conversation in the first phase of this hostage negotiation ceasefire agreement, because I remember you pouring cold water on the second stage. This is all very good, but you wait until the second phase. Does it surprise you here?
It doesn't quite need to be gasping for breath so early. We could have, and we might still, although it looks more precarious now, gotten through to the end of the first phase. There are still 3 weekends to go.
Yeah.
Clearly, those second phase talks were going to be difficult. But that statement by President Trump regarding Saturday, everyone at midday, noon at the OK Corral, this isn't serious. America was the guarantor of an agreement according to which 3 are supposed to come out Saturday. You need that guarantor. If the guarantor walks away from what it mediated, then you're really left with nothing. Netanyahu has a blank check,
of course.
It seems.
Does he feel empowered here?
But it's a blank check that no bank is going to accept. Hamas aren't going to be intimidated and say, fair cop. The Palestinian people have been told you're going to be ethnically cleansed. No Arab state has gone along with this. So Netanyahu actually now faces, and it's maybe where he wants to be because it helps bring his coalition back together, his domestic politics. But why will this go any better for him than the last 16 months? He didn't defeat Hamas. There's no total victory. The resistance was resilient. And this is the only way you get the hostages out. The kind of attention may shift to what happens in that Israeli public domain. People have seen the Israelis coming out. Now you're likely to see a stop to that and a return to what the International Court of Justice is now ruling. Could it be a genocide? And many leading Jewish historians of the Holocaust have said it is.
And, you know, of course, we also have seen protests by families of hostages, important, who want to see their loved ones returned. Some even come on the show saying, you know, fearing that their son may have been killed, but wanting that body back. So that pressure too, domestically, I think that will play very heavily. It'll be interesting to see how he manoeuvres that. But this all comes kind of at the same time that we hear Trump and this plan for Gaza, that suddenly it was an off-the-cuff comment, that it's sounding more like policy. And that press conference alongside King Abdullah of Jordan, that was so awkward. What did you make of that?
Well, here's a president putting something forward, but you're not going to have American troops on the ground. I don't think they would be able to secure this anyway. He's not saying he's going to put money into it. I think he either thinks Arab states will be intimidated or they've got more money than sense and they're going to back it. They have said no. Netanyahu now says, well, this is my plan for the day after, but he can't implement it. So it's a plan that you can't go anywhere with. Therefore, you are still stuck. If you want a solution, you can dust it all off. Hamas has said, we don't have to govern. Here's the governing arrangement that they would agree to. Arab states have said, under these circumstances, we will be involved in the reconstruction of Gaza. Israel, you can have your normalization if there's a political horizon, Palestinians actually get the end of occupation. But none of that is on the table. So we're left actually with this thing, which I think is just going to deflate over time. And perhaps the president has found his new shiny ceasefire toy to work with now on Russia-Ukraine.
On the Russian-Ukraine, and that, you know, that's come on very quickly in just in the last 24 hours. I want to play what we heard from Steve Witkoff speaking to CNN today on Gaza and on this plan. Have a listen to this, Daniel.
And going back to a place that's going to take anywhere between 10 and 20 years to successfully and correctly and efficiently redevelop it makes no sense at this point in time. That is his policy. And candidly, I agree with it, and so do many responsible people. You would never, if there was this sort of destruction in any major city in the United States, no one would be allowed to cross the dividing line and go back in because it's inherently dangerous there.
And what we heard from President Trump, we're going to take it, we're going to own it. Where do Arab nations, what do they have to do here? Do they have to put forward an alternative proposal? And what would that look like, Daniel?
Well, as we've said, the alternatives are out there. They've been out there for a long time. Actually, if you're serious about the idea that Palestinians in Gaza, first of all, he's saying they can't go back ever.
Yes, that's
But if you were
correct.
serious about the idea that they need to be somewhere else, they come mostly from southern Israel. That's why Gazans live in refugee camps. They have a right to return to those places in Israel. In fact, if the two-state solution has now been rendered obsolete, we all live in this one space, Israelis and Palestinians. Let's have equality in this one space. President Trump has plenty of former South Africans. He can ask what post-apartheid living inequality looks like. But this idea that you will have people in this region, first of all, come together to be part of the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians, something that has been attempted for decades. This isn't new. And this idea that ethnically cleansing Palestinians will make Israel more accepted in the region, more at peace, more secure in the region. It really is for the birds. It's not serious. And I fear that we're going to be chasing after, in these next years, some ideas that we end up saying, do you remember when we spent weeks talking about that particular nonsense? I think this will fall into that category.
Daniel, as always, you make so much sense. I have a feeling that you and I will be discussing this for months to come. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.